Shalom, I'm Rabbi Jonathan, and today I'm reading Genesis chapters 19 through 21, and I'm reading from the Tree of Life version of the Bible. Now the two angels came to Sodom in the evening, while Lot was sitting at the gate of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he got up to meet them, and bowed down with his face to the ground. Then he said, "Here, please, my lords, please turn aside to your servant's house, spend the night, and wash your feet. Then you can get up early and go on your way." But they said, "No, we will spend the night in the open plaza." But he urged them strongly, so they turned aside to him, and they came into his house. He prepared a feast for them, and baked matzot, and they ate. They had not yet lain down when the men of the city, the men of Sodom, surrounded the house, from youth to elderly, all the people without exception. And they called out to Lot and said to him, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us, so that we can have relations with them." But Lot went out to them at the doorway and shut the door behind him, and said, "Please, my brothers, don't act wickedly. Look, I have 2 daughters who haven't been intimate with a man. Please let me bring them out to you. Do to them whatever is good in your eyes. However, do nothing to these men, since they have come under the protection of my roof." "Get out of the way," they said. And they said, "This one came as an outsider and dares to judge. Now we'll treat you worse than them." So they strongly pressed against the man Lot, and moved in close to break the door down. But the men reached out their hands, brought Lot into the house with them, and shut the door. Then they struck the men at the doorway of the house with blindness, from youth to elderly, so that they gave up trying to find the doorway. Then the men said to Lot, "Who else related to you is still here? A son-in-law, your sons, and your daughters, whoever else is related to you in the city, bring them out of the place, for we are about to destroy this place, because their outcry has become so great before Adonai, that Adonai has sent us to destroy it." So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, who were going to marry his daughters. "Get up," he said, "get out of this place, for Adonai is about to destroy the city." But in the eyes of his sons-in-law, he was like a joker. So when morning dawned, the angels rushed Lot, saying, "Get up, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, or else you will be swept away with the city's iniquity." But he hesitated. So the men grabbed his hand, his wife's hand, and his 2 daughters' hands, because of Adonai's compassion for him, and they brought him out and left him outside the city. When they brought them outside, one said, "Flee for your life. Do not look behind you, and do not stop anywhere in the surrounding area. Escape to the hills, or else you'll be swept away." But Lot said to them, "No, my lord, please. Look, please, your servant has found favor in your eyes, and you have magnified your merciful loyalty, which you have shown me by letting me live. But I can't escape to the hill country, for the disaster will overtake me, and I'll die. Look, please, the city is close enough to flee there, and it's little. Please let me escape there. Isn't it small? And let me live." So he said to him, "Behold, I will grant your request concerning this matter too, not to demolish the city of which you have spoken. Hurry, flee to safety there, because I cannot do anything until you arrive there." This is why the town is named Zoar. The moment the sun rose upon the land, Lot entered Zoar, and Adonai rained sulfur and fire upon Sodom and Gomorrah from Adonai out of the sky. So he demolished these cities and the whole surrounding area, all the inhabitants of the cities and the vegetation of the ground. But his wife looked behind him, and she turned into a pillar of salt. Now Abraham rose early in the morning to the place where he had stood before Adonai, and he looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah, and toward the entire land of the surrounding area, and saw, behold, the smoke of the land ascended like smoke from a furnace. So it was, as God destroyed the cities of the surrounding area, that God remembered Abraham, and sent Lot out of the midst of the upheaval, when he demolished the cities where Lot had dwelt. Then Lot went up from Zoar, and dwelt in the mountain, his 2 daughters with him, because he was afraid to dwell in Zoar. So he lived in a cave, he and his 2 daughters. Then the firstborn said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there is no man in the land to come to us, as is the custom of the whole land. Come on, let's make our father drink wine, so that we can lie with him, and keep the seed from our father alive." So they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn came and lay down with her father. Yet he did not know that she lay down and got up. On the following day the firstborn said to the younger, "See, I slept with my father last night. Let's make him drink wine tonight as well. Come on, sleep with him, so that we'll keep the seed from our father alive." So they made their father drink wine that night as well, and the younger got up and lay down with him, and he did not know that she lay down and got up. So Lot's 2 daughters became pregnant by their father. Then the firstborn gave birth to a son, and named him Moab. He is the ancestor of the Moabites to this day. The younger also gave birth to a son, and named him Ben-Ami. He is the ancestor of the sons of Ammon to this day. Then Abraham journeyed from there to the land of the Negev, and settled between Kadesh and Shur. While he was dwelling as an outsider in the Gerar, Abraham said of Sarah his wife, "She is my sister." So King Abimelech of Gerar sent for and took Sarah. But God came to Abimelech in a dream at night and said to him, "Behold, you are as good as dead because of the woman whom you have taken, since she is a married woman." Now Abimelech had not come near her, so he said, "My lord, will you slay a nation, even though innocent? Didn't he say to me, 'She's my sister'? And she herself even said, 'He's my brother.' I did this with integrity of my heart and guiltlessness of my hands." Then God said to him in a dream, "Yes, I myself knew that you did this with integrity of your heart. So I myself prevented you from sinning against me. That is why I did not allow you to touch her. So now return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and let him pray for you, and you will live. But if you do not return her, know that you will surely die, you and all who are yours." Abimelech rose early in the morning, called all his servants, and spoke all these words in their ears, and the men were very frightened. Then Abimelech called to Abraham and said to him, "What have you done to us, and how have I sinned against you, that you brought great sin upon me and my kingdom? You have done to me things that should not be done." Abimelech also said to Abraham, "What motivated you to do this thing?" Abraham said, "Because I thought, there is certainly no fear of God in this place, so they'll kill me because of my wife. And besides, she really is my sister. She's my father's daughter, though not my mother's daughter. Then she became my wife. So when God made me wander away from my father's house, I said to her, 'This is your loyalty that you must show me in every place we go. Say of me, he is my brother.'" Then Abimelech took sheep, cattle, male slaves, and female slaves, and gave them to Abraham, and returned his wife Sarah to him. Then Abimelech said, "Look, my land is before you. Dwell wherever it pleases you." At the same time he said to Sarah, "Look, I've given 1,000 shekels to your brother. Look, it is compensation for everything that happened, so to everyone with you, you are vindicated." Then Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, his wife, and his female slaves, so that they could bear children. For Adonai had completely locked up every womb in Abimelech's household because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. Then Adonai visited Sarah just as he had said, and Adonai did for Sarah just as he had spoken. So Sarah became pregnant and gave birth to a son for Abraham in his old age, at the appointed time that God had told him. Abraham named his son who was born to him, whom Sarah bore for him, Isaac. Then Abraham circumcised Isaac, his 8-day-old son, just as God had commanded him. Abraham was 100 years old when Isaac his son was born to him. So Sarah said, "God has made laughter for me. Everyone who hears will laugh with me." She also said, "Who would have said to Abraham, 'Sarah has nursed children, for I have given birth to a son in his old age'?" The child grew and was weaned. Abraham made a big feast on the day Isaac was weaned. But Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian whom she had borne to Abraham, making fun. So she said to Abraham, "Drive out this female slave and her son, for the son of this female slave will not be an heir with my son, with Isaac." Now the matter was very displeasing in Abraham's eyes on account of his son. But God said to Abraham, "Do not be displeased about the boy and your slave woman. Whatever Sarah says to you, listen to her voice, for through Isaac shall your seed be called. Yet I will also make the son of the slave woman into a nation, because he is your seed." So Abraham got up early in the morning, and took bread and a skin of water, and gave them to Hagar, putting them on her shoulder and the child, and sent her away. She went and wandered about in the wilderness of Beersheba. When the water from the skin was finished, she abandoned the child under one of the bushes. Then she went and sat herself down opposite, about a bow shot away, for she had said, "I can't bear to see the child dying." So she sat down opposite and lifted up her voice and wept. Then God heard the boy's voice, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven, and he said to her, "What troubles you, Hagar? Do not be afraid, because God has heard the boy's voice where he is. Get up, lift the boy up, and hold on to him with your hand, for I will make him a great nation." Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled the water skin and gave the boy a drink. God was with the boy, and he grew. He dwelled in the wilderness and became an archer. He dwelled in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took a wife for him from the land of Egypt. Now it came about at that same time that Abimelech, with Pichol, the commander of his army, said to Abraham, God is with you in all that you do. So now make a pledge to me here, by God, that you will not violate your word with me, or with my descendants, or with my offspring. As I have shown loyalty to you, show the same to me, and to the land in which you have lived as an outsider. Abraham said, I make a pledge. Now Abraham had rebuked Abimelech because of the well of water that Abimelech's servants had seized. So Abimelech said, I don't know who did this thing, nor did you tell me, nor did I hear about it until today. Then Abraham took a flock of sheep and cattle, and gave them to Abimelech, and the two of them made a covenant. Abraham set 7 young ewe lambs apart from the flock of sheep by themselves. Abimelech said to Abraham, What do these 7 ewe lambs that you've set by themselves mean? He said, You are to accept the 7 ewe lambs from my hand, so that they may be a witness for me that I dug this well. That is why that place is named Beersheba, because there both of them made a pledge, and they made a covenant in Beersheba. Then Abimelech got up with Pichol, the commander of his army, and they returned to the land of the Philistines. Then he planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and called there on the name of Adonai, the everlasting God. He lived as an outsider in the land of the Philistines for many days.